Outdoor Oklahoma, to help you enjoy and better understand your outdoor world. And now your host from the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation, David Warren.
Hi everybody, we're at Lake Burtschi today taking advantage of a nice morning. It's real cold last night, but we're going to try to get out here on the lake and find out some of the things you should always be sure you do before you get your boat on the lake for the first time this spring. And with us is a fellow who's probably been on the water more than most other people in Oklahoma, Ken Cook, bass fisherman. Nice to have you on the show again.
Nice to be again, Dave.
And like I said, you're out there in the boat year-round, but a lot of people never get out there until it starts warming up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in Oklahoma, unfortunately, it gets cold in the winter. Of course, I've fished pretty much all winter long, but still I'm aware of the things that you have to. In my business, I can't afford to overlook the little things that can ruin your trip.
Oh, certainly. It can mean a lot to you. It can mean a lot to everybody, though,
Absolutely.
just recreationally.
Well, no one gets to fish as much as they want, and so by ruining a day of fishing, you messed up a chance to have a good time.
And you may not only ruin your day, but if you get to the ramp and you're not prepared, you can ruin everybody else's day while you wait there. Let's just real quickly, and we're going to get out and try to catch a fish or two, but it was real cold last night, so no guarantees, right?
Well, I anticipate it could be a little tough, but we'll fish for that condition.
We'll do that in a little bit. We're going to run through, though, quickly some of the things on this boat that you might check, and many other boats be the same.
Oh, absolutely. Pretty generic stuff that most boats will have. If not, they should have.
And you got a nice big bass boat here, Javelin. Let's go ahead and look at some of the things we ought to check.
I think the first place we need to look, I just don't need that fishing rod to do that probably, is back in the rear compartment where the batteries are and where the your safety equipment needs to be. You need to have all your safety equipment in there, of course, and make sure that's all there. But look at your batteries. Make sure that the connections aren't corroded. Make sure that your batteries are charged up. You need to maintain those charges all winter long.
Now, many of these things should have been done before we got here.
Oh,
and of course,
absolutely,
have been done in this
absolutely. That's real important. The batteries, of course, are what runs the trolling motor. At least part of the batteries do. The other battery, of course, that cranks the big outboard is necessary. It needs to be up too. You have to check all those. Check them with a voltmeter to make sure they're working and up. Because this boat has built-in battery chargers that makes it awfully convenient to do that. All I have to do is pull out a plug and plug it in. So,
right. Is this a toolbox here?
This is a toolbox. I think everyone should have tools that can be capable of using them enough to repair little things that can go wrong. You got a connection loose or whatever. And so I've got a toolbox here in the rear of my boat. One of the other things on the other side over there that most of the bigger boats need to have at least is a water separator fuel filter. It's important, because you get around a lot of water with boats naturally, and you have a lot of trash in a lot of the gas we get. That's really important. And if your boat has set over winter, you need to pull that replaceable filter off there. Either empty it or get a new one, better yet, and put a new filter on there. Make sure that your gas stays clean as it gets to the engine, and that'll save you a day's fishing right there. Because if your carburetors don't get trashed up, you saved a fishing day. Okay, we're going to move on quickly. Is that basically all? Well, one other thing back here is that if your engine sits for over a couple of weeks, you need to make sure that without running it, be sure to come back, just hit the bulb a couple of times, pump it up tight so that you fill the carburetors full of gas every 2 or 3 weeks. That keeps the gasoline from evaporating out of your carburetors. That's what causes it to gum up. So that'll prevent you a problem too.
What about the motor itself? Anything we need to
look at the engine? Make sure it's clean. As I said, if you set out in the cold, make sure that your lower unit still has good grease in it. There's an inspection on the other side that can make sure you have plenty of grease in the lower unit. That's extremely important. Check your prop, make sure it's all right. These are some things that you can should have done at home if your prop's trashed up. You get it replaced or get it fixed during the wintertime.
We need to hurry up and get out there in the water.
Yeah, I'm ready to go fishing.
What about the trailer? You always need to check the lights and all
before you leave home. Check the lights. Check your bearings. Make sure they're good and tight. You repack the bearings if it's been a while. You make sure that they're not going to let you down on the road. You can't fish if you don't make it to the lake.
Okay, well, we've got this far. Let's go ahead and get on the water, and maybe we'll check the other things.
Yeah, and catch a fish.
Yeah, I'm ready. No one's going to believe we've already hooked a good fish just as we got off the ramp there, but before we do a whole lot more serious fishing, let's go ahead and look at the boat here. Now you're on the water. What are you going to check out?
Well, one of the first things is the depth finders. Make sure that they're working properly. On both ends of the boat. Most boats, the bass boats, at least have one on both sides. That's one of the things. Of course, your trolling motor, you tested to see if it ran, hopefully before you got to the lake, but now you did run through the speeds and make sure that it's all adjusted right. You should have it mostly pretty well done by now. Of course, your steering on your engine, you'll check when you put in, and and that sort of thing. Or your throttle linkages and everything. Can't really, if I'm at my boat set for a while, one thing about this new Evinrude, it has a socket on the back where you can just plug a garden hose right into the back of it and fire the engine up right in your driveway.
Right.
Which that makes it really convenient to make sure that everything's is functional before you leave the house. But my boat hadn't set very long this winter, so I didn't do that. But
you can do that with most engines, though, right? With muffs
you can use a muff and whatever. Be sure and don't start your engine until you do have water in the water pumps, or you'll seriously.
What about checking that throttle, though? I mean, you couldn't necessarily do a good job of that at home.
Well, you can take the cowling off, and again, under the cowling of your engine at home, you can make sure that the linkage is working and all. But still, carburetors that have set for a while little worms crawl into them, and they act kind of funny sometimes. But so you really don't know until you get it on the water, so that you can start it up and put it in gear and make sure your linkage and shifting and all is as it should be. There's a whole lot of things you can do to your boat all winter long as you're not fishing, as it's too cold to be out on the lake fishing. You can make sure all your boxes are clean, and of course tackle tinkering, we can sharpen our hooks and straighten the tackle boxes and all sorts of stuff. But
what seems to be the most common mistake for people just getting out the first time? Of all
battery's dead.
Battery's dead.
I think your crank battery is dead. Is probably the most common thing that I see at the ramps in the springtime.
Generally through the winter they ought to go out and charge that thing up a few times anyway, hadn't they?
Put a little trickle charger on it, or just go out to it every 2 or 3 weeks and just put the charger on it for a little while. Make sure that it's up, or put a voltmeter on it and make sure that it's up. That's extremely important.
Well, of course, you've been out all winter fishing, and your boat's in good shape. We got out here, fish right off the bat. That'd be a real bad situation to be out there, hook a fish, and looks like the day's going to be real good, and you got boat problems, you got to turn around and go home.
Right, that would be terrible. Because this is a small lake we're on. We could fish it on troll motor. Some of your troll motor batteries are up.
Mm-hmm.
We can go all the way around it on troll motor if we need to, but I may go back and fish that spot where I lost that big one a minute ago.
It's a nice fish.
Somebody didn't cue the fish right. That's what it was.
That's right. That's right.
No. What it is?
Yeah.
Well, you can tell he's cold.
So I got you to change bait, and
yeah, you get me changing baits and catch one.
I know a few tricks.
That's all right.
Oh yeah, he's not that big one that you hooked earlier.
No, but it's a fish, and today any fish is pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I'll take it. That's first fish this year for me.
In all my seminars and with people I'm talking to all over the country, is that fishing is fun. We got into this business because fishing is fun. And people ask me all the time now that I fish competitively for a living, does that take all the fun out of it? Why, shoot, no. Fishing's fun no matter what level you're doing it at. And I think that's extremely important, is to it's fun even if you don't catch very many fish, and to point out how much fun it is and take a kid fishing and get him hooked on it. That's where the future of the sport is, and I think that anyone in this industry is aware of that. And if those of you in the audience that are non-fishermen, find a fisherman and ask him to take you fishing. Almost every one of them, everyone will take you fishing. They're always willing to go out and show off their boat or their float tube, even for that matter.
Just like hunting or anything else. A lot of times after you've done it a while, you get more of a kick out of introducing somebody else to it, seeing them catch a fish.
That's real important, I think, in any business. But you're looking for the future of this sport. We maintain ourselves. If the more non-fishermen we can make aware of the fun of fishing and how important it is in the scheme of things, then the more likelihood we have this is going to be around for a long, long time to come.
And Ken, all the studies are showing that when people are asked why they haven't fished or don't fish, nationally and here in Oklahoma, they've been saying basically they just haven't found the time. And I remember 10 years ago, a lot of people were talking about the importance of taking time for recreation so you can have a better life, a better quality of life. Right. You aren't working all the time. But finding the time seems to be the biggest problem for people.
Yeah, you make time for what you want to do, and if you realize how much fun fishing is, you'll make time for it.
Well, if they'd hook a fish like the
one
you had on a while ago, I think they'd find a way to make some time out of it.
I found over years of my fishing career, and back where I was just fishing for fun, which I still, every time I fish is for fun. But when I was just fishing for fun, the fish I've lost end up being the more memorable fish of my lifetime, really.
Sure, yeah.
Well, almost. There's a good fish right there. Not that big, he's just behind the bush.
Decent fish? Yeah, that's a decent fish.
Not like I thought he was when he first was behind that bush. I thought he was a grown one.
Yeah.
And one thing you want to do with fish, especially in a catch and release situation like we're in, is don't drag the fish over the carpet. You know, the carpet's one of the things that's really going to wipe the slime off the fish, which is very detrimental to the possibility of this fish. Look,
good fat fish.
This fish has been caught and released already. Look.
Yeah.
There's a new hole right there, and I hooked him up here.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, catch and release working. Thank you.
Oh, where'd he came right out of the?
It was behind this bush right here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I called that one. I said we ought to catch one here. Nothing like that one I lost. Isn't that amazing? Never was a truer thing said than the big one usually gets away.
Well, even though we only had a couple hours to fish this day, it was nice to get to fish with Ken, catch a few, and know that our boat, which we were shooting from, was also working well and ready for the peak of fishing season, which is just ahead. Turkey season is also right on us, and Paul Moore will be along in just a minute with Game Chief Greg Duffy to make sure we're all ready for its arrival. But first, aquatic education specialist Rich Fuller gives us this week's Booming Ground tip.
You know, one of my favorite places to fish on most Oklahoma lakes is the area that has riprap on it. These rocks here is what's called riprap, and it's placed here to prevent the shoreline from eroding away. But one consideration whenever you do fish riprap is to be careful on where you place your feet. The footing on these areas can be very treacherous at times, as you see here. One thing that you can do in order to improve your footing on these type areas is to wear some specific type of footwear. Today I'm wearing some felt-soled wading shoes. And this felt sole acts to grip the moss that's on these rocks. What I want to show you now is an inexpensive way to make your own felt-soled wading shoes. What I have here is just an old scrap piece of carpet. You can just pick these up just about any place. And first thing you do to start out making your wading shoes, you want to take an old pair of tennis shoes, one that you don't wear very often, and go ahead and place that on the back side of the carpet. Then you want to take a magic marker and just trace around your shoe, just like that. Then after tracing around your shoe, you can cut it out with the utility knife here, just like I've done here. At that point, you want to just get some rubber contact cement available at most of your hardware stores and apply it to both sides. Apply it to the carpet side and the sole of the shoe. And allow that to dry a little bit to get tacky. Then at that point, you want to just slap them together like that and put a little bit of pressure on there so it'll get a good bond. And after that, you're ready to go back fishing. Speaking of fishing, I think I may try to go catch me one. We'll see you next time.